Welcome aboard for another TNC podcast. There's a Wagner Lucian in the air. Welcome back.
Do you fancy a wagon wheel tonight with our cups of tea, Jack?
Yeah, have you got any?
I haven't, but what a quality snack they were back in the day. Do they even still sell them?
Of course they do.
Do they exist?
Much like all chocolate bars, getting smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still very much a thing.
Club shop, I think you should bring out a range of Wagner wheels. By the way, na 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 na. Wagner's at the wheel, Wagner's at the wheel.
Wagner's first game, we lost 1-0.
Did you hear me on 5 Live giving it that?
Yes. The funny thing was, so we did the watch along on Sunday. I say I.
Yes.
Because you were doing important live admin. And I was saying, oh, Chris is really busy today. Like he's doing other stuff, and they're like, he's on 5 Live. I was like, oh, I see how it is.
No. To be
Chris
fair,
is swapping TNC for national radio. Oh, I see how it is.
I need to make
5
this clear.
Live keeping the lights on now, is it? One of them ones.
To be fair, 5 Live was literally 2 minutes, and they were late. How dare they? Yeah.
And you know, I wake up to 5 Live. That's my alarm clock in the morning, and I go to sleep to 5 Live. So the one time of the day I wasn't listening, you were on there.
There you go.
Probably good. I've just spilled coffee all over me.
The watch along looked, dare I say, incredibly boring, but yet over 6,000 people watched it. So clearly they are getting kicks out of what is quite a boring Norwich City side.
There was 15 minutes of chat about the Great Yarmouth District Council bin collection days, and there was 15 minutes of chat about my mug.
Can I just say,
Not
on
face,
behalf of the channel,
drinking vessel.
If I was there, I would have stopped that. So on behalf of the channel, I am so sorry that
you know
had
what?
to listen to that.
It was more viewed with just me than us too. So I think you're the thing that brings this channel down.
Could well be. Couple of bits of public service announcements.
Yes.
You wanted to say something about Spotify.
So if you're listening on Spotify, if our vocal cords are penetrating your eardrums and you're on Spotify, leave us a 5-star review.
Yes, please
because
do that.
It helps us and it boosts our ego.
Yes. And Spotify, there were some like wacky countries that we're big in now.
So you can do Spotify Wrapped for what you're listening to.
Yes.
We got one for podcasters.
Okay.
People are like from Timbuktu, Ghana.
Yeah. Really?
Gabon.
We've got a fan base in Gabon.
Yeah.
Up the Gabon.
Yeah.
Have a bit of that.
So yeah, if you are listening on Spotify, there's a little thing you can press, 5-star.
Nice.
Once we get to 100 reviews on there,
what happens?
I'll give away a shirt, Norwich City shirt.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'll do it.
What are we on now?
Like 80.
Come on, give us a 5-star. And my message for tonight is, Jack, I was bamboozled, right? Because we did our podcast last week, and I thought, I came away from it, and obviously, everyone watches it, and I'm buzzing with it, but it sort of got to about 5k, 6k views, and I just sort of was like, okay, cool, that's that done. Like,
you
great.
Underestimated the TNC community.
But then the following, this week, I looked at it, something like 10k views. So what I am asking of you guys watching and listening to this around the world, I want you to let us know on social media, ideally Twitter and Instagram, where you're watching us and how you're watching us, and give us your setup, just like we did for the TNC watch-alongs. Screenshots and the most exotic location wins.
Yeah.
I want to see where in the world you're watching and how you're watching.
I always get really jealous when this happens though, because there's guaranteed to be at least 3 people on the beach.
I know, but I love
I'm like,
that.
what are you doing?
There is only one thing though. Just make sure you tag at TalkNorwichCity on Twitter and Instagram. And by the way, as a thanks for your support, I will personally retweet absolutely all of them on our social media accounts.
There you go.
Let's talk Wagner.
Wagner's at the wheel. How good does it feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
It genuinely feels good. It's a breath of fresh air. Lots of debate around, of course, whether he is the right man and whether it's an easier handshake for Webber, which I'm sure we'll go into and people will have a very strong opinion on or not. But I think, Jack, with the managers that we were linked, the coaches we were linked with, I think Wagner would be at the top of the list for me. Out of the ones that we certainly were mentioned on, Sky Bet, for example, odds and things like that. Stuart's saying that there were some that weren't on there. I don't know anything about that, but I'm actually quite happy with Wagner. And the more I listened to David Wagner, the more I realised why that decision was made, because they needed someone to inject some belief, some hope, some optimism, some bloody positivity back into the place. and also some mindset. I love everything he's coming out with at the moment is getting me going. Honestly, seriously, every night he gets me going.
Wow.
There's a new quote to read, isn't there? David Wagner with his wand out.
Wagner's wand.
Wagner's wand. And unfortunately, he didn't cast his wand over the Blackburn game because he only had one training session.
He did. You know, the thing that's not getting to me, it would be a lie to say that I'm losing sleep over this, because I'm not. But when people say it's a lazy appointment, I think it has settled down a little bit now they've heard David Wagner, however you want to say it, legend. It's not a lazy appointment, because in every other industry, seemingly, bar football, if you have worked with someone before and you rate their work and you trust them and you like them
and you work well with them,
you rehire them.
Yeah.
But in football, you can't do that because it's lazy. Which doesn't make sense to me. I really liked what Wagner did at Huddersfield. The more I read into his style, his philosophy, I look at the squad of players and go, actually, you don't need to make too many tweaks in terms of the roster of players to go all Atanasio lingo on you. Raster. And yeah, I like what he's about. And I think although we lost against Blackburn, there were some noticeable differences in the way that we progressed up the pitch.
And we had about 500,000 shots but didn't convert. Talk to me.
Which was, I mean, that was also the frustration under Dean Smith, is there were plenty of games where we had 15 plus shots and hardly scored.
I wouldn't say plenty, Jack. I would not say plenty.
There were a good few.
I would say that's incorrect.
I wouldn't.
And it doesn't surprise me that a man that's coming on a Norwich City podcast wearing blue and white comes
You've got
out
blue
with,
jeans on.
Come off it. Blue and white stripes. That should be a
That's not blue,
sin,
that's
actually.
navy. It's not Ipswich Town blue, is it?
Anyway, a man coming on wearing blue and white stripes needs to get his facts right.
Got peach under here.
There weren't many games where Dean Smith's Norwich City side
there
had more
literally
than 16
were.
shots. There were some, but you've made it out as if we got all those shots every game.
No, I'm not
That's
making.
a big
I'm not
difference
making
for
it
David
out.
Wagner. You are.
The thing that frustrates me is that we've got a set piece coach, Chris. We had 20 corners. That's one every hang on, it's even matter. 20, 40, 60, 80. It's like one every 4 minutes.
Mate,
we didn't even come close to scoring from a corner.
I don't know what... mate, do you know what? What I would say about a set-piece coach, and I can't...
20!
But hear me out.
We never had that amount of corners under Daniel Farker or Dean Smith.
Look,
20 corners.
Don't get me wrong. Attacking set-pieces, we have regressed since getting a set-piece coach. Yeah. But... defensively,
we've looked okay.
We've hugely improved from defending set pieces. So let's even it out there, right? But it is quite ironic, isn't it?
But it was
hilarious that
just, particularly in the second half, it was just a game of watching us throw corners. And I tell you what, we'll have a positive, because I want to be positive on the podcast today. Daniel Sinani's corners, pretty decent.
And if Wagner can get a tune out of Dan Sinani, that sums up how much of a coach he is. Because he has been nowhere near it so far this season.
I want to throw you under the bus.
Go on.
Because you've been doing that to me a lot recently, and I want to highlight your utter hypocrisy that you hide quite well on camera, but off camera your mask slips.
I know what you're going to say.
And I have been crucified and publicly humiliated for my stance on cup competitions, saying that they can be sometimes a hindrance to Norwich City Football Club.
Yeah, I probably deserve this. Yep.
When you were kindly making me a coffee earlier, you said to me, "You're glad we're out of the FA Cup."
Oh, no, I didn't say it like that.
No,
I did not say it like that.
I think you actually said you were delighted out of the FA Cup,
shocking
and that you celebrated the Blackburn win.
I'm not having that from you. But I will be honest. Every season, I'm up for the cup, 100%. I think it's an opportunity to bleed in younger players, give them minutes. It's an opportunity to bounce back from defeats, which, by the way, Blackburn at home was, so it could have been. But I saw the dark side more after that game at the weekend, and I thought, actually, do you know what? In hindsight, yeah, we probably do need to be focusing on the league more than anything else, and actually, yeah, I just think that this season, let's do league.
Did Blackburn...
So I'll admit it, I've gone to the dark side.
Who did Blackburn end up drawing in the next round?
Oh, God knows, I don't care.
It was probably like a trip to Sunderland or something.
I don't care.
Did you watch the game?
Ish.
Did you watch the highlights?
Yes.
Did you...
Mate, we've lost 1-0.
Yeah.
What's there, like...
Well, I was going to mention that, I know I've mentioned this loads of times, Jack does a revision of Norwich City, shocker. I've actually done a little bit of research on how Wagner likes to play. I mean, when I say...
You've done research?
When I say, I've watched a 6-minute video.
Wow.
But I said on the last podcast
Tifo
that he
football.
loves getting fullbacks forward and he loves delivering crosses.
Yeah.
And particularly in the first 20 minutes, in the last 20 minutes, Norwich did that lots. Through Adamida, through Onel Hernandez, through Dimi Nulis and Max Aarons. And a couple of them connected to Teemu Pukki or Jordan Hugill. And there were spells when I was like, if we can get that sharpness up front, we had 24 shots and didn't score, and we can just connect a few more crosses, Norwich City are going to be in a fairly decent position here, because I think we do have the players. I think Onel, he can certainly beat a man. He's certainly got the pace. His final product needs work. Adamida out wide, I'm not sure about, but he was getting in some nice positions. And then if you can get your fullbacks forward in Dimi Nulis and Max Aarons, who on their day I think are two of the best fullbacks in this division, you're onto something. And I liked what I saw.
Yes, and you mentioned his name there. The Norwich player I'm most excited about. And to be fair, let us know in the comment section, which Norwich player are you excited to see thrive under David Wagner? For me, Maxi Aarons. I'm so excited to see how David Wagner gets Maxi Aarons back to that Daniel Farke Maxi Aarons, where he's just bombing up the wing, getting in crosses. And by the way, even having a couple of shots as well. Force a save, get the corner early doors. That's the Maxi Aarons that we all fell in love with. That's the Maxi Aarons that, by the way, and do you listen to his post-match?
Yeah, it's got me going.
Do you listen to Maxi Aarons' post-match interview?
I think Wagner's given a little bit of... got his wand out with Max.
Right, we need to
cast his spell.
Let's rein that slightly in. But it was a great post-match interview and a very telling post-match interview. If you've not watched it, Maxi Aarons was very. You could very much read into his comments. And by the way, this is no criticism. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I was thinking, listening to that, actually.
He's basically buzzing that we're now playing in the way that we will be, which is so exciting.
I was listening to that and thinking, if Chris Gorham ever wants a career change, he should become a police detective.
Yes.
He just gets things out of people.
Yeah, he does. He's good.
You look at Chris and he's so unassuming and polite and beautiful and lovely.
Yeah.
And yet, some of the questions you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hello, Chrissy Gorham.
Yeah.
And he just gets questions out.
I think it's the smile.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
The unassuming smile of Chris Gorham.
Should we talk about a couple of transfer rumours?
Yeah.
Swirling around the
It's that
NCSC
season.
sphere. It is indeed. Of course, January transfer window, ins and possible outs.
Is it just me, or it doesn't feel as big as it does in previous years? Just
No,
transfer windows in general?
Yeah, it's a bit weird that they've... Is that because sort of people have sort of cottoned on to the fact that it was a bit Sky Sports News pluggy, wasn't it? It was a bit too heavy. The old Jim White gold ties, etc.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten until a couple of days ago the January transfer window was even a thing.
I've almost sort of tried to teach myself to forget about it this year because we ain't going to get anyone. And I'm reading Twitter and there's Norwich fans genuinely thinking that we're going to sign someone.
Yeah, I don't think we will.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope that
if we do, it's not going to be notable.
I cannot see it. I just cannot see it in our current situation.
Unless we sell Milo Rashica, which
but in January. Would we?
I know.
I just
probably
I can't see it. But
so
there's two topics, to use that German word we all fell in love with.
Topics, yeah.
Cantwell to Rangers and Bali Mumba. Where's he going?
Well, possibly being recalled.
There
maybe that's more through hope than expectation. I think we should start with Todd.
Okay.
Linked with Rangers, I think.
You did a great video on him, by the way.
Thank you.
Great video.
Have you watched it?
Absolutely not.
It is great though.
Really, really great.
I think it's probably more than just a rumour at this stage. Yep. Michael Beale, Rangers manager, has commented on the situation, said that he likes Todd. I think he described it as Todd needing to reignite his career, which I found quite interesting and probably agree with.
Yeah.
Where are you at with Todd? Because, again, doing research. Earlier, he only played 8 times last season.
Yeah.
And this season has hardly featured.
Yes.
It's been probably 2.5 seasons to forget for Todd.
Yeah, okay.
After 2 seasons of utter brilliance. So, can he reignite his career at Norwich, or will it be elsewhere?
Cool, that's good. That's a Chris Gorham type question. You put me on the spot. Well, first of all, I hope he does. I've really enjoyed watching Todd twist and turn in those 2 seasons that you mentioned there. The one, of course, where he sat here with his gold medal round his neck as well, especially.
In a puffer jacket.
That was a... By the way,
and it's always roasting in the
Todd, I know you're watching, mate. That puffer jacket was a shocker, wasn't it? Do you remember when you refused to wear the hat?
Yes.
You had your Aston Villa drunken hat. He rejected you.
Yes.
Oh, God, where do I go with this? I am sad about Todd, really. I'm sad about how it's gone. At the moment, it would be very easy for people to see what's presented in front of them by the club and official stuff available and go, oh, well, he clearly doesn't want in and he's done, or he's trouble behind the scenes. That is not fair. And I look forward to Todd's side of the story coming out in the wash. I've maintained that stance now for a good year or so. What I would say is the loan move to Bournemouth didn't work, and clearly that's because Todd didn't play at the levels that he should have been playing at. I don't think Todd Parker, I don't think Scott Parker's an idiot, so I think that there's clearly a reason why that didn't work. But I will always rewind and go back to when he was completely derailed under Daniel Farke and wasn't managed well enough. And the best coaches and managers in the world learn to work with players that have that, dare I say, perhaps arrogance about them. Like, they know they're good, right? And on his day, in a confident team that's winning football matches, fuck me, do you remember seeing Todd Cantwell against Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Tottenham? Do you remember that penalty where he did the keepy-ups in the cup? Yeah. We know Todd can do that. But I think almost what I would maybe try to push through all of the noise around it is the reason why there's frustration around Todd is that we all know his latent potential. We all know what he could do on his day in a confident team. I think it's a shame. I think it's sad. I think it is what it is. I really hope that if he does leave Norwich City, I hope he has a wonderful career and proves all of the nasty naysayers wrong, because I think that Todd's just become one of those players where he's easy to pick on because he's a modern day footballer and he does TikToks. And I'm sorry, but if you're a fan that believes footballers shouldn't do that, you need to get used to it, because it's going to be something that happens more and more. Yeah,
I think it's just probably it's difficult to assess where Todd's at because he hasn't been playing football.
Of course,
and that's not like partially might be down to his wrongdoings, partially down to just team selection, partially down to maybe mismanagement.
But have conversations, Jack, because I'm of the understanding that there was a conversation that tried to take place from Todd towards Dean Smith that didn't work the way it should have done. So,
and I think
he's 100% committed to Norwich City Football Club, Jack, and that is a fact. He doesn't want to not be. He wants to play for Norwich City. He literally loves the club,
and that has never been a doubt for me. I think it's difficult to look at any player in this setup and go, they've excelled over the past 12 months.
That's also true.
And
great point. About time you talk sense.
I just look at this Norwich team and I go, it's crying out for a bit of creativity. It's crying out for that killer edge ball, and Todd is capable. The problem is this system we're playing, like, where does he play?
Yeah.
He's not a winger.
Yeah.
We've tried him out wide, he's not a winger, he's not quick enough. But if you get him in that number 10 and you get him playing through balls to Teemu, that's where goodness starts. And I really, really hope that David Wagner can get the best out of him. I hope that over the next 3 to 5 months, we see Todd given consistent game time.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work in that time, you hold your hands up and go, we gave it a go.
Yeah.
And then you can depart. I think if Todd were to go to Rangers in January,
right,
there'd be a bit of me that still goes, what if?
Yeah. But what we don't know is what's going on now behind the scenes in terms of potential transfers and talks, and that could maybe derail a player. I believe we've seen that in a couple of these players that are still in this squad. where there's been talks where, they could have moved away from Norwich City, but yet they've stayed.
And that would throw you off.
I think that affects a player's performance. I do. So look, very interesting one to stay tuned on. And as I've said already, go and watch Jack's video on Todd Cantwell. Bali Mumba.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily a rumour. I think that there's the option for him to be recalled this January.
Right. Okay.
He's done brilliantly at Plymouth, who were top of League One.
Yeah.
Scored a couple of screamers. I was watching Sky Sports 21 under 21s. He was put into that list.
Yes, I saw you post about that. Yeah.
And you can see why. And I think I'm just looking at Bali Mumba going, this man just stinks of Wagner ball. And I'm just looking at him and going, he's progressive. He's a ball carrier.
Yeah.
He was a midfielder at Sunderland. We kind of converted him to a right back.
Yeah.
I just think, and granted, he's probably got to get ahead of Max. And I can't see that happening.
Correct.
But you go, ooh, I wouldn't mind a bit of that.
I know, it's especially Max now under David Wagner. I don't think Bali gets in at all. No. To be honest with you, with love and respect to Bali, highly rate Bali, always have done. I think he's got a very bright future. But do you bring him back to almost bleed him back into the setup again, so he's ready to hit the ground running next season? Like, do we need to be thinking more medium and long term with Bali?
Possibly. I think if you had that conversation with Bali, what he's probably going to go is, why would I leave a potential league-winning team and have that glory of promotion to come and sit on the bench?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm him, I'm staying here. It's going well. I'm playing week in, week out. We're top of the league.
Yeah.
And I'm quickly becoming a cult hero.
I think, the Norwich fan in me selfishly wants Bali back because he's playing well, and it's the old Carl Lafferty syndrome again, off the bench, the player that you've not got on that you think can make the difference. But ultimately, if you're bringing a player back selfishly to not play him, then that's poor. It's good for his development to continue, and he's doing exceptionally well there. Do you know what I really like about Bali? I love, don't get me wrong, maybe defensively he's not quite where he needs to be yet to be starting in this Norwich team. But I love what he brings going forwards. I love the fact he's not afraid to have a shot. Just a little pop shot. Yeah. Force a save. Yeah. Just keep the keeper on his toes. I love that. And that's what, personally, that's what I love about football. That entertainment. I don't want my wing backs to play the basic pass to centre backs. I want to get forwards. Have a go. Have a fucking go. I'm very excited about Bali Mumba. I'm all aboard the Bali bus.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm excited about the Twitter questions.
Yes, let's do that right now.
Let's start with Joe Leggett.
Yes.
Welcome to the party, Joe.
Big up, Joe.
Statement.
Go on. I
We
love a statement.
massively overpaid for both Nunez and Sarah.
Massively.
I like them both and hope they prove me wrong, but it seems the recruitment have got it once again all wrong for a second year in a row. Hoping it's similar to what happened with Mario Vrancic.
Yes.
I think
I've said that before.
I think it's probably harsh to say we've massively overpaid, because maybe for Sarah, but even that feels harsh. We didn't pay much for Nunez. And I was saying this on the watch along the other day, Norwich City, if you want to make a dent now with a player that will instantly hit the ground running, you're probably looking at 30 million quid. Norwich don't have that. So we're operating between the £4 to £10 million mark.
Okay.
And with that comes risk.
Yes.
Particularly when you're dipping into the South American markets and other markets, because you can't really afford British homegrown talent.
Yeah. So
with that comes risk, and I think when you're paying that sum of money, which is a lot for Norwich City, but in football is pennies. 1, 2, maybe in 10 work. I've liked what I've seen from Sarah, particularly over the last couple of months. I think people got way too carried away with Nunez, and I did say that early on.
You have said this.
There were glimpses of brilliance and the Panenka and bits like that, but he gave the ball away so lot. Nunez strikes me as a man that just needs an arm around the shoulder and to be well coached, and I don't think he's had that.
Yes.
But I think there's a player there in both of them.
Yes, so I'll jump in on this as well, Joe. It's a great statement, not question. I agree with you, Joe. We overpaid for them both. I wouldn't say massively, but we overpaid for them both under Dean Smith because he wasn't getting anything out of them. But under David Wagner, I'm looking at Nunez and Sarah and I'm thinking, fucking hell, hello. I like the look of that. Because he can unlock the spice that we signed them for. And I think Dino almost sanitised that out of them both.
Do you think that Sarah, Hernandez and McCallum are all now going to the same barbers? Because they literally got identical haircuts.
Maybe. I must say that I think there's a question about this later on. I'm a bit disappointed in Gabby that he's trimmed the barnet. I quite like the big barnet.
I like the big barnet.
But to be fair,
voluptuous.
To use a Stuart Webber phrase, the old marginal gains there weren't particularly good, were they? Because that sort of slows you down, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
gives you something to pull.
You got an extra few inches to get your head on it.
Yeah, and we could all do with an extra few inches from now and then. Yes, my statement is from Andy Emmerich. Welcome back. He says, Sarge will finish the season as the league's top goal scorer. His style of play seems to fit perfectly with Wagner's. We may even have won yesterday with him on the pitch with a little saluting emoji. And interestingly, and something to talk about, Jack, obviously a press conference today. It was Wagner's official unveiling. Stuart Webber was there with David Wagner and, of course, Mr. Daniel Holker, head of communications, by his side. And it was very interesting because David Wagner said he ain't a winger. No, he didn't obviously say
about Sargent.
He said Sargent is not a winger. He is a striker. You play centrally. So that speaks volumes for me.
Which is fascinating because you either play two up front, which historically hasn't worked for Norwich, or you drop Pukki.
Do the right thing and you start playing Josh Sargent because Teemu Pukki wants to leave the football club. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it at the moment.
I think it was noticeable. We did miss Sargent, and you know what I was saying the other day on the watch along. There's a few players where most of the things I say I don't regret. I do regret ever so slightly my criticism to Josh Sargent. To caveat that he was signed for the Premier League and he didn't perform in the Premier League.
But that's not his fault.
That's not his fault. And I think he has been one of the best players for Norwich this season.
And the fee's not his fault. And the position he was put in wasn't his fault. And he's always said, even in press conferences and official interviews, he's always said, well, yeah, he'll play me there, but I'll drift in a little bit. He said that on a couple of occasions.
He's not a winger, and I don't think Adam Eade is a winger, and that's when the imbalance of this squad really shows, because then you've suddenly got 4, if not 5 strikers that you're trying to shoehorn into one position, and it doesn't work.
I do just want to caveat what I just said as always, because I'll get mugged off on social media for it. I love Teemu. He's a legend of the football club, but I just think he's not himself since he's decided that he wants to leave. But I love him and I respect him. I love him.
Does he want to leave?
Come on.
Does he?
We all know the rumours. Come on. Okay, all right. You can take the official club
I think it would be harsh. I don't think he's ever given less than 100%.
And this is what I do want to say. I'm not saying like he's not given 100%. I just don't think he's been himself. And I just think Josh Sargent is a younger player, a player that's been our top goal scorer this season, and yet we've continued to play Teemu Pukki when he's not been firing. But look, maybe that's a Dean Smith thing. We can leave that in the past.
Just one last thing. The bloke has played 23 times this season.
And still scored
so many goals. And has scored 8 goals and got 5 assists. That's a pretty decent return in a team that doesn't score goals.
I'd say it's more than decent. I'd say it's a brilliant return considering the lack of service
which does make me slightly anxious to say that we should drop Teemu. I just don't think you can do it.
Look, I know it's not ideal, but we're in a not ideal situation, Jack.
That's true.
Jamie Everson, statement. Grant Hanley's days should be numbered at Carrow Road. New blood is needed at centre-back and a new captain should be appointed. I did speak about this in the last podcast. I didn't say it as hopefully as abruptly as that. I personally do want to see someone else given a go at captaincy, but that's just my personal preference. But it is interesting, Jack. There is now a conversation to be had, isn't there, around does Wagner should Wagner be brave and start to, get the youngsters? Is it lazy for me to say, play, the classic is play the youngsters. They want it. They give the effort. Don't get me wrong. I do know that the older guys are giving just as much effort, but I don't know. Do you play Tompkinson there? Do you play Big Andy instead of Hanley and have Ben Gibson? What's your preference for the centre-back
I think my preference is what we saw on Saturday with Hanley and Big Andy. I think if you're watching Jonathan Tompkinson and thinking he's better than Hanley, I think that's just complete recency bias.
Okay.
I think Hanley aerially is a very good defender. There is mistakes in him, and I think he'll admit that he hasn't had the best season. I think he's been better than Ben Gibson. But I think Grant Hanley at this level is a decent defender. Yes, he made a howling error at the weekend. I like what Wagner said, that he wants his team and I want my team to play out from the back. and those mistakes will happen. That's not saying that it should have happened, but those things do happen. I think the criticism of Grant Hanley is quite harsh.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think on his day he's a very good defender, and that's been the frustration for me this season. Is I still stand by the fact that I think we've got a really solid defensive line on paper.
Yeah, but
Jack. No, but I'm saying there's potential there.
Yeah, but the potential's not been fulfilled. You said this season. We've got the best defence in the league. The defence has been shit this season.
But I think that Wagner will go in there and go, I'm really happy with the players I've got to work with. And I think Hanley is a big part. Now, what I do agree there with is I think there is a big debate to be had around captaincy. But then I was thinking the other day, like, who do you give it?
I feel like I pushed that a little bit. I don't think it's that much priority.
Who do you give it to?
I think behind the scenes, Grant Hanley will be an exceptional captain. But I just think at the moment we need someone on the pitch that's doing more in that role, and that's why I think Kenny. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm saying. I just personally let us know in the comments on social media. Like, are we talking nonsense again here, or would you if you were Wagner, would you take the opportunity to maybe change the captaincy? I don't know.
I think the other thing is I think captaincy in football might be a bit overrated. I think you will have your natural leaders in the dressing room.
Yeah, do you think?
I think you'll have your natural leaders. I look at Kenny McLean as being quite an influential player in there. There'll be others that are influential. You don't need a bit of elastic around your bicep to make big calls.
Personally, a captaincy gets me going, but there you go.
But you're a fan.
You need to read something.
Lee says, I was at work yesterday. Thanks
Lee.
Just Lee.
Right, Lee. Yeah, great.
Just
class.
Doesn't want to give his surname.
Cheers, Lee.
He was at work yesterday.
Okay.
Thanks for the update. But can we talk about Christos Tzolis? Yeah, if you want. Let's talk about him.
All right.
In the medical room when David Wagner walked in, was he?
Yeah, and did you watch those videos?
Yeah, but I didn't see it was Tzolis.
What? How could you watch the video and not see? Did you have your glasses off or something?
Maybe.
Did you watch the training video, or which one did you watch?
There's so much content. I don't know. I watched Wagner shaking hands with like the ball boys and stuff. Have I missed the announcement he's back? Or are we delaying that a few weeks? Well, the last thing I saw of Christos Tzolis was him training with FC 20.
Yes, me too. So I think
was that before
he's
or
gone back,
after?
Maybe look. This is something we need the official press to ask, please. Or the press need to.
They probably have
press on this. The press need to press on this. What's happening with Tzolis? I think Wagner will want him back. You know.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is Tzolis the answer?
Well, I don't know. Is it Carl Lafferty syndrome again? I don't know.
I don't. I would be lying if I've said I've watched FC 20 this season.
But you know, we know there is a player in there. That's why we bloody signed in the first place. Harv says statement. All aboard Greater Wanglia. This team will finish third. Next 5 games unbeaten. Finished off with a Plachetta brace at Wembley. He gets the keys to the city.
Greater Wanglia.
Harv.
Is that how Jonathan Ross pronounces it?
What? How many bottles of Lakens have you ordered? We will need to have a word with them and stop selling as much to you, because that is quite an incredible statement.
Do you think we could still get in the playoffs?
Yes, absolutely, I do. Absolutely. But I do think these next few games are critical in terms of our hope. I think that the atmosphere will be great for the first 2-3, but it will then start to dwindle if we don't get wins. I'm not talking draws, spirited performances where we get, loads of shots on target and don't fucking score. We need wins. I think Wagner can do that. I like where Harv's gone with that. It was, the PP brace times 2 at Wembley is quite something, but who knows? You never know. Obviously, PP back in the fold now, Jack.
Is he back?
He is, but fucking hell.
I've been too busy.
Joking
I've
me?
been too busy looking at Huddersfield from 2016.
What are you doing here? I think you're meant to be you're meant to be the TNC anchor, and actually, all you've been this show is the TNC wanker.
Good. No, that was good.
Right.
Do you honestly think I'm scouring the internet to see if Premysław Płacheta is back in the fold?
I think you should do more research, yeah, because I do.
I've been too
Why
busy
don't you
checking
do
out
that?
Huddersfield from 2016-17.
To be fair, I don't know about you, I've watched so many Wagner interviews. Like, I've watched every Wagner interview on YouTube.
And he says the same thing in every one.
Absolutely love it.
Maybe we should do one. Add another one to the mix.
There's actually a statement from Jess. 20 corners, 0 goals. Alan Russell should be either next out the door or be made an assistant head coach for his initial style of play. Yeah, we've spoken about that, Jess.
Was mental.
It's fun, isn't it? Jeff,
can I ask one?
Yeah, go on quickly.
Shanghai Canary. International
Shanghai.
English teacher. Norwich City Football Club.
I know Shanghai Canary. Yeah,
Where's
class.
the cat, I think? What youth prospect do you think will develop most under... I keep reading it as Wenger. It's Wagner. We haven't got Wenger. He will go for Tompkinson.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hopeful for Tompkinson. I think we've just not seen enough of him. It depends on who you class as a youngster, don't you? Like, who is that at the moment? I'm not really sure who you would...
I think Liam Gibbs. Because Liam Gibbs, there's clearly talent in there.
He's already been good this season, though, really.
I think he's been erratic.
Yeah, but that's to be expected in a team that are getting bossed in midfield.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying it's not. But I think he will become
a better
non-erratic under David Wagner.
Right,
I think David Wagner is the shoe polish. We have got a lovely pair of shoes, right? But they're scuffed, they're a little bit dirty, and Wagner's come in with his cloth and a lovely dollop of polish, and he's going to buff our shoes.
He's going to
soften the edges.
He's going to polish him up, give him a polish.
And I think Liam Gibbs, with a little bit of polish, will be a beautiful, shining shoe.
Good. Jeff says, would be great to hear you cover Max Aaron's post-match interview with Gorham. We have now. I hope that's okay, Jeff. To me, he couldn't have made it any clearer how glad the players are to have Wagner.
Yeah, I think he was. And I think, in particular with Max Aaron's, is often he's quite... I don't think he gives too much emotion away, and I think I saw that with
never
Max
too high,
Aaron's.
never too low.
Yeah.
It's a classic in football.
Yeah, and I like that. I'm really excited to see what the second half of the season does for Max Aaron's, because I've been disappointed with what I've seen from him so far. He's been okay, and I think his standards are so high that an okay performance for him is a good performance for someone else. I think attacking-wise, he's got so much more to give.
Yeah, I'm excited. As I said already, I'm so excited to see Max thrive under David Wagner. Here's a chuckle. California Canary, Mark Woodruff. I hope I've pronounced your name correct, California Canary. Our new manager allows the second button below the collar of his shirt to be undone. Whiffing of an exotic foreign dude. Do you think after enduring Norfolk in Jan and Feb, his shirt buttons will soon be one notch higher, the properly British way?
No, stick with two, Wagner.
I think undo them all.
Bit of flesh.
I reckon just turn up bare chested. Yeah. Give it the badge pan.
What, just topless or shirt on but buttoned down?
No, although I absolutely love. Do you know what? I absolutely
sort of Gareth Ainsworth style. He has it right down to there, doesn't he?
Yeah. I would love Wagner when we score the winner against PNE to run down the byline to the Norwich fans and just rip the top buttons, to just give it a badge pan, chuck his hat into the crowd.
He does like a hat, doesn't he?
I want to see it. I really
does
do.
like a hat.
He is an exceptionally stylish man, which I love to see. You'll go.
Finn, what's your favourite police drama?
Hang on.
I watched.
This is nothing to do with Norwich.
When has that ever stopped us?
Let me guess. Line of Duty.
It's up there.
It had a terrible ending.
What, Line of Duty?
Yeah, shocking ending.
No.
You thought the ending of Line of Duty was good?
Yeah, I thought it finished it off
Shocking
nicely.
from you.
I am obsessed with Happy Valley at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you've been recommending.
Have you watched it?
No, it's on the watch list. Yeah.
Gripping.
Right. Okay.
Quite dark, but gripping.
Dark and gripping.
You know what I used to love? The Bill.
Yeah.
Wouldn't call it a drama.
Yeah,
Was
why
it a drama? Maybe.
Um,
Another one that I'll throw into the mix. Not a police drama, more of a mystery. Dr. Foster from back in the day.
Okay, good. All about opinions. Statement. To be totally honest, I think our season's done. Time for Wagner to get a flavour of who will and who won't be here next season. Massive squad rebuild is needed now. So this is the thing about Wagner. And actually, if you read some of the quotes from Stuart Webber from the press conference today, it kind of sounds like they are sort of thinking medium long term too. In my opinion, that's what I took away from some of the quotes. What do you think, Jack?
I don't think Wagner would have taken...
I don't think this season's done. It's not dead and buried
No,
yet,
I don't think he would have taken the job if he thought that. And I don't think the players... maybe in a normal championship season, yeah, but God, this league is dross. It really is poor. And I will keep saying that until the cows come home. It's really poor. And I think, I mean, we saw it in that 10-game unbeaten run. Like, you don't have to be that good to win football matches.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And linked to this...
And it won't take much to get back into the top 6.
And linked to this question from All About Opinions, Richard Wolf has turned up. Wolf! And they say, feed the wolf and he'll score. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oof, shocking. Need to use the rest of the season as building blocks for next season. First step, remove Hanley, Giannoulis, Gibson, Cantwell, Dowell and Pukki. Past exploits are no prerequisite for future success. I mean... That's a punchy one, Jack. What do you think to that? I mean, obviously you're not going to disagree with it because your Teemu can do no wrong is in there.
I just think that the whole mindset of... I hate that mindset of like, oh, I don't really want to get promoted because we need another season in the Championship to rebuild. It's like, what?
Yeah, but what are you here for then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are we here to just... But then if we were to do that and lose every game so we don't get promoted, they'll be going, oh, we could have got promoted this season. I just don't buy that mindset. I think you should aim to finish as high as possible, and I think we are capable of doing it.
And like, let's all choose to be positive again.
Yeah.
Like, we can't let what's happened has happened. And look, I actually agree with Stuart Webber on this as well. And actually, I do think there was a lot of good stuff that he said in recent interviews, mainly with Sky Sports, lots of sense spoken, and also in the press conference. Like, let's put the past... In fact, sorry, forgive me, it was David Wagner in today's one, which you're now seeing tomorrow. Oh, forget it. Basically, David Wagner said, let's put the past in the past and move forwards. So as Norwich fans, yes, I do agree with some of the sentiment behind that message, Richard, and also yourself, All About Opinions. But for me, I think the Yellow Army should choose to be positive, choose to be optimistic, and choose hope for the rest of the season. Because if not, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Let's not turn up to Carrow Road miserable as sin. Let's use this new manager bounce as an opportunity to enjoy it again. Because let's face it, and plenty of we've said it. We've been miserable on this podcast. We've been miserable.
You've been miserable.
Road.
I've been optimistic the whole season.
Let's back the boys and let's try to
speak for yourself.
I reckon we'll get into. Do you know what?
You didn't even put a Santa hat on.
This season reeks of Alex Neil 2015.
Imagine that.
Well, I don't need to imagine because it will happen.
Wow. Liam, statement. I think this is our most liked question of the week.
Really?
Simply says statement.
Go on.
Kenny deserves the armband.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a strong one. Love that. What's his name again?
Liam
with lots of N's.
Oh, and
love that.
his Twitter bio. This isn't a burner account.
Go on.
NCFC TNC enjoyer.
Oh, hello. That's class from Liam. People are going to genuinely think that's our burner account now, aren't they?
Might be my mum's.
For fuck's sake.
Kenny, I'm not against it, Liam.
Well, we've already spoken about it. And by the way, he is one of those players. You know, those two Scottish lads are definitely the leaders behind the scene, Hanley and Kenny McLean.
You know, the thing with Kenny is I hadn't spoken, I hadn't listened to much of Kenny before we did the podcast.
Yeah.
A genuinely lovely bloke.
Yeah,
like
mate,
that was
100%.
That was one of the. I walked away from that really, just warm and fuzzy.
Kenny McLean made you warm and fuzzy.
Kenny McLean's warm embrace gave me joy.
What I would say is that was part of the reason. I mean, I've already said I wanted to get him on to talk about social media abuse, etc. But that was why I wanted to get him on, because the criticism was so personal and way over the line and harsh. Criticise them all you like for poor performances, down to your own personal opinion on the performances, but the personal abuse was too much. And yes, you're right. You know, giving him that space to open up was great.
Someone actually tweeted us the other week to say,
right.
In the photo we had with Kenny, that his head looked particularly small. And,
but
maybe
also,
that's just because my head's big.
Yeah, but also you looked way taller than me. It was a bit of a weird photo, wasn't it? No, you're not.
I'm such an alpha male compared to you.
You might be taller than me, but yeah, we'll stop that. Looney Hoon on Twitter says, angry rant. I'm sick to death of certain so-called Norwich fans.
Oh.
I use the word lightly. Wagner had one session with the team that is probably very low on confidence, and don't laugh. This is an angry rant.
Sorry.
It's probably very low on confidence, and some people were still moaning after the loss to Blackburn. Give Wagner some time and just back the boys.
Delivered that nicely. There's always going to be people that moan.
Yeah,
There will always be people.
Ultimately, though, and Looney Hoon, I agree with the passion behind that. That's what we've just said. Let's now choose to be optimistic, positive, get behind the boys. But it's going to take a while for the particularly negative people to get back on the bus and now the Wagner wagon because of all of the stuff that's happened, the things that have been said. And by the way, the club will know that as well, right? And that only comes through winning games of football. So I agree with that, but the boys need to generate that on the pitch for us to genuinely believe again.
Alan Russell didn't do too much goodness in his 2 weeks in charge, but he did say something that caught my attention. He said that in football, nothing's ever as bad as it seems, and nothing's ever as good as it seems.
Yeah, you've said that before.
And I think it applies to Norwich this season. I don't think it was as bad as people made out under Dean Smith, and I don't think it's as bad as people making out against Blackburn in the Cup. I saw enough change in that performance against Blackburn to tingle me a little bit.
And speaking of tingling you, Ed Cole's his statement. At first, I hated the appointment of Wagner, but watching the video of his first day, smiling and grabbing Rose's boobs, I'm in love.
Grabbing what?
Fully aboard the Wagner Whaleway.
Who did he grab?
Ed Cole is saying that Wagner grabbed Johnny Rowe, let's have a go's boobs.
Oh.
It was his chest. He was complimenting him being bulky, and then Johnny Rowe, let's have a go, said, I've been working hard in the gym to bulk up this season. I used to be thin.
Okay.
Do you ever do any, mate? Catch up. What have you been doing? Watching fucking police dramas?
It doesn't sound like I've missed much.
Cool yourself.
David Wagner touching Johnny Rowe's boobs, does it?
Oh my God.
Hang on, let me just.
But I think Ed Cole actually.
What were people expecting us to appoint Thomas Tuchel or something? Like, what were we expecting? This is and you know what makes me laugh? People act like Daniel Farker is God, right?
Well, he
did very well.
He did do very well.
This man took Huddersfield,
who by the way are a pub team,
to the Premier League and kept them up.
Yeah. And kept them up.
Yes.
Which Daniel Farker never did.
So what? Like, why do we suddenly think that David Wagner's this nobody?
They had less money. The thing is, right, what I would say about this tweet is I'm not surprised that Ed's posted that. A lot of Norwich fans will feel that way because of the things that Stuart Webber said. The magnifying glass is on him, and people think it's just a lazy, easy handshake. But I think people will find out quite quickly that actually this is a really smart appointment considering where we're at as a club right now.
I think that's it, Chris.
You hear his passion. You listen to the bloke. You buy into that.
Yeah.
And what do the Norwich fans need now? They need to go on a journey. They need to, they need to love the manager again. And don't get me wrong, Wagner is saying all the right things, but he's saying them with authenticity and genuine belief. And that's what you want to hear as a football fan. You want to love your manager, love your head coach. You don't want to be waiting for 10 o'clock to see the press conference quotes coming out saying, "Oh, it's all the fans' fault."
That stuff goes a long way. I think it was really nice that he, simple stuff. He clapped the fans.
Did you hear what he said about that? By the way,
he was like, "It's our duty" or something.
Yeah, I don't ask my players to clap fans. They have them to clap the fans. 100%. Yeah, front up.
Yeah.
Back them. You back us and we'll back you. Dave Rogers, Gabby Sarah, Barnett, long or short? We've spoken about this. We reckon long.
Long.
Nathan Barker, statement, I want to be proven wrong, but I think Wagner will be like Daniel Farker. Gets us promoted, but when we get up to the Prem, he won't keep us up. Don't worry about it.
I don't think that was necessarily Daniel's fault. If that were to happen,
that's
celebrate the promotion and realise that football is completely and utterly broken.
Yes. Let's read all comments. Charlie is anti David Wagner. He says,
"Come on, Charlie.
Wagner is bang average at best. We should have gone for Dyche. He's a top manager who always gets slated for his long ball football. But if you watch Burnley often, they actually played some very attractive football at times with a no nonsense attitude. Webber out. Wow." Sean Dyche, Jack. Any interest?
You can't criticise Dean Smith.
I don't think
want Sean Dyche.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
I agree with that personally.
It's the same football, very similar CVs.
I like Sean Dyche's charisma, don't get me wrong, Charlie, but actually he has a proven track record in the Premier League, and this is the problem. He wouldn't come down to the Championship. I would have been so surprised if we'd managed to get him.
I would take David Wagner over Sean Dyche every single day of the week.
Love this from Natalie. People need to stop expecting miracles when Wagner had been at the club for a matter of days. I get losing yesterday wasn't ideal, but we have to be behind the new manager.
Yeah, I don't think people were expecting miracles. I think people probably saw enough difference to be pleased. Yeah, I agree. I think we do have to get behind him.
Yeah. Lots of really good questions this week.
Yeah,
Jack.
absolutely. Preston up next.
Yes. And it's by the way, it's going to be such a fascinating few games. It will be.
So it's Preston, and then it's
Coventry away.
Oof.
After that,
a couple of toughies.
Yeah, really tough. And then you've got Birmingham,
and then
Burnley. Burnley after that. Yeah,
so that's a tough month.
So let's not talk that into existence. It's a tough month for a pessimist. It's a tough month for someone that doesn't believe in what David Wagner will do to these boys. And I'm saying 3 wins.
Which one are we losing?
No, we're not.
Oh, just the next 3 games.
We beat Preston away.
Yeah.
We beat Coventry away. And why laughing? No, it's people like you.
No, because you have been so negative the last month.
I know.
And I will not forgive you for not wearing that Santa shirt. And you know what I can't wait for?
Wagner's out the wheel.
I can't wait for Teemu Pukki to take that smug, hypocritical grin off your face.
I think Wagner will get a tune out of Teemu again.
Wasn't what you were saying earlier. You wanted him sold.
Well, look, I'm thinking that, I don't think about my club just in the short term. I think about my club in the medium term and long term, unlike you.
I heard you disrespecting a legend. That's what I heard. I think that's what everyone else heard.
Absolute nonsense. Look, I think we beat Preston away.
Good.
I think Wagner gets his wand out and waves it in the changing room, and we get a big result away against Preston. Boom, first league win. And then we go to Coventry. Coventry. Comfortable win. I'm saying 2-0. Clean sheet. Big AG. Nando's on me. Yeah. And then you got fucking Birmingham. Don't get me wrong. John Ruddy will turn into a prime Buffon again. But, stick one in the back of the net and you're laughing, aren't you? And then you go into the Burnley game and it's like that bloody David versus Goliath situation again, isn't it? Yeah. And do you know what we do? Do you know what we do? You just piss them off. You just punt balls in from the wide positions. Just punt them into the box. Force an OG. Burnley on the deck. All their fans quiet, and the Yellow Army giving it na 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 na. Wagner's at the wheel. At the wheel. Wagner's at the wheel. Love it. Mate, you've got to believe.
4 wins in a row.
You can't drag through your football life like a coal bag of shit, can you?
You have been the last few months.
Yes.
And I'm glad it's changed.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching. If you're on Spotify, give us a review. I'm going to be giving away a shirt at 100 reviews.
That's incredible, by the way. You didn't even tell me you were doing that before the show.
I just thought, you know what, I'll do it.
I love that from you. And don't forget also, take a picture or screenshot of your screen, your TV. If you're on a beach, if you're at your desk, wherever you are, tag TalkNorwichCity on Twitter and Instagram. We'll share all of them as thanks for your support. But genuinely, I looked at the numbers last week and I thought, how are there 10k people watching this? Number one, because we're a couple of idiots. But number two, I'm like, we haven't heard from you. Tell us who you are. We want to know.
And if you're thirsty or hungry, Laken's on Nor. Links in the description.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep plugging it until they tell me to stop because I can't believe they're giving it away so cheap.
See
you later, everyone. Bye-bye.
Wagner's at the wheel.